ask you this. You breathe every day, right? You eat every day, right? Or most of us, you take a shower or a bath every day, right? You change your drawers and your socks every day, right? I mean, just things that we do on an everyday basis. You get up and you go to the bathroom first thing in the morning, right? So all these things that we just do naturally, and we don't even think about it. Prayer ought to be just like those things, that we do it naturally, and we don't even necessarily think about it. It just comes to us natural to pray. You dig? Luke 18:1 says that men ought to always pray and not to faint. Let that sink in, right? What does that mean to you? Let's talk about it. There is no situation, there is no circumstances, there is no state of affairs, you know what I'm saying? There is no type of thing I can think of, I can't think of a scenario of which men should not pray, right? In everything. No matter what you're going on, what you're going through, what you're suffering through, no matter what the situation and circumstances looks like, it doesn't matter. I mean, it could be the worst of the worst. Imagine the worst of the worst of the worst that you could ever imagine. And men should always to pray. Always. There is no circumstance, situation where you should not be praying, where you should not be, speaking to source God, where you should not be expressing your opinions and expressing your feelings, expressing your mind, expressing your heart. God wants to know your heart, right? Share your heart with him. There's no reason for us not to pray, man. It doesn't matter if people get offended. It doesn't matter if people don't like it. It doesn't matter if someone says, well, that's against the rules. Well, you know what? That's a rule that needs to be broken. I said it. Deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Men ought to always pray. If you got to pray in silence, if you got to keep your mouth shut and you praying in your heart and your mind, if you're praying and your mouth is moving, there ain't no words coming out like Hannah. You did? But men ought to always pray. If there is something that stops you from praying, get away from it. If there is someone that is offended or irritated by you praying, move away from them. You want to be, and I want to be, around people and in situations and circumstances where people encourage us to pray. They encourage us to speak to God. They encourage us to share our hearts with our Father. Those are the kind of people we want to be around. Those are the kind of situations we want to be in, where people encourage you to do what you know to do and to do what's right. You dig? Not to do what's wrong and what to do according to what someone else thinks or according to our flesh. We've got to always pray. I don't know how much I can express that. I could go on a 3-hour video and express to you about situations and circumstances that I was in that I didn't pray, or prayer wasn't my first option. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't until after a while, I better pray. No, trust me. Prayer is the lifeline to how God can speak to us, how God can get us information, how we can receive what we need in the spirit. All the downloads that we require for the answers, we already have on the inside of us. We just got to tap into it. But you can't tap into that if you're not praying. Remember, Source God lives on the inside of you and me. And if we're not tapping into Source God on the inside of us, if we're not praying for strength and understanding and insight, if we're not praying for growth and development and increase, if we're not praying to be able to be in position to help someone else, you know what I'm saying? Encourage, love, be kind, support. All that requires prayer. And on a continual basis, men are to always pray. You dig? Not pray when it's convenient. Not pray, when it seems like you have the time. Not pray when you've done everything else and then you just find something else to do, so you pray. No. Prayer ought to be first and foremost from the time we wake up, all throughout the day, until the time we lay our head down. Men ought to always pray. You feel me? And you don't have to be praying, oh, Father, oh, Jesus, Lord in heaven. You can pray silently. You can pray in a whisper. You can pray in a moan and a hum. You dig? But men ought to always pray. So I just want to encourage y'all on today, man. Get your prayer time in. Prayer is important. Don't slack in your prayer. Right? Steal away the time. If you got to stop doing what you're doing, right? Stop doing what your flesh is doing. Stop doing what your mind wants to do. Stop doing what others want you to do. Then just stop it and set aside some time to pray, because prayer is going to get us to the next level. Prayer is going to get us where we want to be. Prayer is going to see us through when everyone has turned their back on us and no one can seem to help us and we can't get in contact with nobody. We can always pray. You dig? See, what happens a lot of times is we get tired. Yeah, we get tired. We're praying, we're seeking God's face, we're telling him about the situation, right? We're crying out to him, we're pleading, we're explaining, we're just expressing to God in the way that we pray. But it says, faint not. Why do you think it says not to faint, not to get tired? Because that's what happens. People start praying, then all of a sudden, their eyelids get heavy. Now, you wasn't tired 10 minutes ago. There was not one bone in your body that was tired. There was not one part of you that was sleepy. But all of a sudden, you get down to pray, and you start getting sleepy, you start getting tired. It's a struggle to keep your eyes open. Don't get tired, don't faint. Some people even have the attitude, man, pray for what? Because they don't understand that prayer changes things. Prayer brings about change in our life. But they don't believe in the power of prayer. And so to them, prayer it's a waste of time. What good is praying gonna do when you open your eyes, you're still gonna be looking at the same situation? And that's their mentality, because they don't understand the power of prayer. Right? But see, Jesus understood the power of prayer. A lot of the old patriarchs encouraged us to always pray, just like Luke, right? Men ought to always pray. And don't get tired in your praying. Don't get weary in your well-doing, right? Because praying is doing something well. Don't get tired. Don't get distracted, because even sleepiness and being tired and fatigued can be distractions in our prayer life. So let's set aside the time to make sure we are feeling good. We're in a healthy place in our mind. We are consciously and making an effort to set aside a space, whether it's a block of time, whether it's a moment, whether it's, you going in your closet or in your bathroom when you first get home, or when you first get up. Let's make it a part of our natural instinct to pray unto God. And it doesn't have to be a certain specific time, right? Like it's got to be in the morning at 3 o'clock, or it's got to be, before noontime, or it's got to be, before 3 in the afternoon or 6 in the evening. There's no specific time, but just that you make the time. Don't get tired in doing it. Sometimes we can get wore out. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to make time, and then things will come up. We get blindsided, and then we push it back. And then when we try to make the time again, the kids is crying, or daddy is needed for this, or there's some kind of emergency. And there's always something that seems to come up when it's time for us to pray. Don't get tired. Don't get distracted. Press on in your in your prayer life. Press forward and being strong and being, really adamant, like being stubborn almost. I am not going to let anything or anyone take me out of my prayer time or change my prayer time or get me distracted from not focusing on my prayer life. Let's not fail. You dig? And prayer is what you make it. Prayer doesn't have to be this 2-3 hour session with God. If it is that, cool. The more we spend in his presence, the better it is for us and those around us. You dig? But it don't have to be that, man. Prayer can be, an hour. Prayer can be 30 minutes. Prayer can be 15 minutes. You dig? That might be a lot for some people. 15 minutes might seem like a lifetime. You dig? But it's not. Even if you just take 5 minutes and just say, God, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for waking me up this morning. I want to thank you for giving me the strength to go throughout this day and to meet the challenges of the day with success and victory. God, I want to thank you for health, for strength. I want to thank you for my life and my children's life, if you have children, for my parents' life. Lord, I want to thank you for having employment and a roof over my head and a vehicle to be able to get me where I need to be, whether it's a car, whether it's a bike, whether it's the bus or the train. Let's take some time out to pray and thank God for all that he's done in our life and all that he is still yet continuing to do. This is your man, Levon. Be encouraged on today. Make prayer a part of your everyday life. Not when it's convenient, not when you find the time life, but part of your everyday life. You dig? Your man, Levon. I'm out. Remember, Lamella E, love, uplift, motivate, inspire, learn, laugh, encourage, and enlighten. Show someone Lamella E today, because love and light and encouragement, it lives on the inside of us, right? And we can be that on a daily basis. Your man, Levon. I'm out.